Alright, welcome back to Hot Topics TV, y'all. No long introduction, let's get right into it. This is our third video following Tori Bowie. People in the comment section are like, you're saying her name wrong. It's Bowie, not Bowie. Stop saying her name wrong. Listen, tomatoes, potatoes, it's the same thing. People are majoring in minor for no damn reason. We know who we're talking about, right? Let's get into it. So, Olympic gold medalist Tori Bowie appeared to be heavily pregnant before she was mysteriously found dead this week at her Florida home. Now, here's the thing. This information I'm about to give you is coming from a credible source. The last two videos, the first video we did was about pretty much her history, how she grew up, how she got into track and field early, and how she cemented her place to becoming a gold medalist at the Olympics, right? And then the second video we did was mentioning that her neighbors said that she looked about 7-8 months pregnant when she was discovered at the house, along with some other stuff about, stories about her being out in the streets with a knife in her hand, screaming at some guy. Now, I have had a look at her house, where it's located, how close in proximity her neighbor's house is to hers, what kind of a community she lived in. And there is more information out about some more stuff that she was going through at the time before her passing. So bear with this and just listen carefully. So the former track and field world champion also had a long history of erratic and troubling behavior. And this is according to her friends. Neighbors living beside her gave their account of some of that erratic behavior. But her friends have also come forward to say, she had times where she just went off, and she started acting strange. And apparently what this is looking like is like she has troubled with mental illness for quite some time. This wasn't no over the night suicidal thoughts, depression kind of thing. Now, I'm still not saying or confirming that she died by suicide. We're still waiting on the autopsy, right? But the way that this is adding up, it is looking like she has troubled with mental issues for probably most of her life. And you're going to get to hear how rough her life really was and what some family members had to say, right? Okay, so in another unsettling incident, the celebrated sprinter who won gold in the women's 4x100 relays in the 2016 Olympic Games is said to have pelted eggs at the house that is opposite to hers. We spoke about this already, her standing in the street with a knife, screaming. People are like, if my neighbors was standing in the street with a knife, screaming, right, I would call the police. So I'm wondering why nobody called the police for her. Or, it's strange. And then she's out there with eggs in a crate, like a crate of eggs, and just picking them out and just pelting them at your neighbor's house. That's another reason to call the police, right? Now that I've looked at her neighborhood in pictures and seen how it's set up, I'm even more suspicious now as to why they would not have called the police. It's a tiny neighborhood. Okay, so in my mind, right, I'm thinking Olympic gold medalist, celebrated athlete, highly accomplished. She probably got a whole lot of money. So she probably lives on a nice big house on a nice piece of land with a lot of space between her and her neighbors. And that is actually not the case. Where she lives, her house actually looks like an apartment building at first. And I live in Florida, and this looks like a typical Florida apartment building. The only difference is that entire piece is actually just her house because it has one door for entrance on it. But it actually looks like a piece. It looks like an I don't know. It looks like an apartment building, right? So what I'm saying is everybody in that area lives really close together. All the houses are so close. They're big, but they're so close they look like it's a cluster of houses. So for her to be out in the streets, I'm just trying to verbally paint a picture for you. For her to be out in the streets throwing eggs at other houses that's close to hers and screaming with a knife, she was close to anybody that she was doing that to. Meaning she would have been right at her neighbor's front door doing that. So them seeing that could be like, damn, call the police. So at least two neighbors separately told news entities that she was around 7 to 8 months pregnant when Orange County deputies carried out their welfare checks at 1 p.m. on Tuesday and found her body. One of them said that she was really, really thin. She was a thin woman, and she had like this big old belly that she described as half a basketball. Investigators have ruled out foul play, which we know by now, and they keep saying it, but they are yet to release a cause of death. Now people are speculating more than ever before. If you look at the last video I put up on the comment section, you have some people saying she was heavily into drugs and alcohol, then she slid into a depression. Then you had other people saying other things. I wonder if the man who got her pregnant did not want the baby, so he killed her. And just a bunch of stuff out there that people are saying about this situation. People are speculating. Shout out to the people who keep on telling other people, stop the speculating. Just wait for official reports from autopsy. Just shut up and get off the internet, man. People are going to speculate. We're talking about famous people here. We're talking about someone who is an Olympic gold medalist, okay? Found dead at a very young age of 32. People are going to talk. There are conspiracy theories out there. Some are saying, oh yeah, they killed her for sure. I don't know. And then others are saying, look how quickly they arrived at no foul. How do they know that it's no foul? Has a proper investigation been done? Has an autopsy been completed? How do they know that no foul play took place with this? But yet law enforcement has released to major media no foul play. No foul play suspected. Anyhow, I came out of my house one time, one of the neighbors said, and saw her in the streets clutching a knife and shouting at a man. That's what. Now, a family friend of mine managed to calm her down. I find that very suspicious because I'm not going to calm down my neighbor if she's out in the streets with a knife yelling at some man, right? I'm calling the police or I'm minding my business, but I'm definitely not coming over there to try to calm you down. And you got to walk with me here and think. If that friend went to calm her down, says the neighbor, a friend of mine managed to talk to her, calm her down. If that is true, then they must have had some kind of a relationship. As in, they've spoken to each other before, and he's able to, or she's able to call her by name. Hey, Tori, calm down, girl, calm down. Because a total stranger is not going to approach you wielding a knife, trying to calm you down. You understand what I'm saying? Right. It's the same person that said how her life was erratic and unhealthy. This is her neighbor that lives right next door to her, that said that her life was erratic and unhealthy. This person is speaking from what they have seen. Now, her $500,000 home, this is the new piece of information right here, right? Her $500,000 home, her house, had actually been on the verge of being repossessed over the past 2 years because she owed some $22,000 to her homeowners association, according to court filings that were seen by this same news entity. This is how the news is delivered, right? Her $500,000 home had been on the verge of being repossessed. So what this tells me is she was going through some financial issues as well. So could it be a combination of things? She was pregnant. She was having a bad relationship, probably going through a breakup while pregnant. And then again, you know how the hormones go in pregnant women. And then on top of that, to be troubled with mental illness and issues that she's battled since she was pretty young. And then on top of that, to be in financial debt. probably just proved too much for her. Again, I'm not trying to say that she died by A, X, Y, or Z. I'm still waiting, right? But again, we're speculating. Okay, $500,000 home on the verge of being repossessed, 2 years and counting, because she owed $22,000 on her homeowners association. The garage door had been left wide open for the past 3 months. The garage door had been left wide open for the past 3 months. Now, this is weird. Again, I live in Florida. Most people don't leave their garage doors open. Okay, you might open your garage door if you're doing laundry because, you know, the laundry heater and the washer and the dryer in the garage area, or you might be hanging out and, you know, it's hot and you don't have an AC in the garage area, so you leave the garage door open for a little while, or you just hang out right there on your driveway. But people normally close their garage doors. In and out, close it. Hers was left open continuously, wide open, it says, for the past 3 months. And the front doors and the windows of her house were frequently left open, ajar. Ajar meaning not just the door lock is unlocked, the door itself is actually halfway open. It says frequently, meaning sometimes it would be, sometimes it wouldn't be. The doors and the windows, sometimes they'd be open, sometimes they wouldn't be open. But the garage door was constantly open, never closed for the past 3 months. Signs of trouble right there. Locals were wondering if the 2-bedroom house had been taken over by squatters. Like, homeless people might have moved in, because there's no way that the owner who lives there would have been you got to understand something. Property in Florida is not that expensive, right? It's not like compared to up north. So if somebody tells you that they have a $500,000 home here, that's usually a lot of home, if you know what I mean. When I say a lot of home, I mean for $500,000, that's for only a 2-bedroom. I know people that buy nice houses in nice communities for $300,000, $200,000 and plus thousand. So for $500,000, she must have lived in some opulent community, some guarded, safe, secured community. I mean, she has a bit of celebrity to her name, so I'm sure she wouldn't want to just go live out in the regular open where everybody can have access to her, right? So she went into one of these communities where they had a homeowners association. You probably had to know a code to get in the gate. They probably had cameras and 24-hour security, all that other stuff. Her garage door being open for months, for the past 3 months, her neighbor said. Wow. Drying laundry was sometimes seen draped over the front balcony railing. Now, I'm thinking it gets hot as hell in Florida. So I'm thinking maybe she didn't even have money to pay her bills and she had no electricity. So she would leave the door open and the windows open during the daytime so that air could come through, so she could feel cool. And probably she was embarrassed. That's why she also left the garage open to get some air in it. She probably left the garage open and slept there. Drying laundry was sometimes seen draped over the front balcony railings. She was probably hand washing her clothes in the bathroom and then throwing it over the balcony to sun dry it because she didn't have no electricity to use her washer and dryer. The car that she drove. Now, some people could look at this car like it's a classic, right? A back in the day car. Now, other people will be looking at it like, that's a beater. Why was she driving that? But if you look at the pictures I've seen, you'll see that the garage door wide open, and then she turned the car sideways to block view of the open garage door. I don't know why. Was her garage door broken and she couldn't afford to fix it? But why would she put the car sideways instead of parking the car in the garage? Man, it's just so many questions. And then looking at her garage, it looks, I see, it looks like somebody is off here. It looks like she probably might have been spending a lot of time in the garage. You know, sleeping there, maybe. I don't know. I can't call it for mental illness. You know, if it's mental illness and she was going through a lot, then you don't know what stage of her mental illness she was at. Anyways, the rest of the information says we've heard shouting and screaming and loud music in the middle of the night coming from her house. They've heard shouting and screaming and loud music in the middle of the night coming from her house. So I'm wondering if, I don't think this was a party. Shouting and screaming could be her and whoever her partner is going through it. And they were over there fighting so much that they turned the music up to drown out the noise so the neighbors wouldn't be able to tell, or to distort the noise so the neighbors wouldn't be able to tell if it was a fight going on or if they were over there just having a good time, right? So the neighbors are saying they heard shouting and screaming a lot and loud music in the middle of the night. But what shocked me, one neighbor said, was that she appeared to have gotten much better lately, said another neighbor and friend who declined to be named. And friend. So these are people that knew her, that she knew, that had conversations with her. So that means they probably had some idea like, oh my God, she has issues. The same person said having a baby seemed like it had made her happier. That's what makes it so bad. We are talking about 2 lives. This is a neighbor that was also a friend of hers. We heard shouting and screaming, loud music in the middle of the night coming from her place. This is what they would hear from time to time. But what shocked me was that she appeared to have gotten much better lately. Having a baby seemed like it had made her happier. You know that one friend that when they go crazy, some people just stay away from them because you can't change them. And then when they come around or calm down, then the friend will come back. Oh my God, girl, you're pregnant. How you doing? Oh, you look much calmer. We can talk now. It goes to show you, the person says, that you can have fame and success and everything in the world, but it won't fix what's going on or what's going wrong on the inside of you. She had personal demons, but she was a good person. And this is a friend of hers that said all this. Orange County court records revealed that the track star, 2-time NCAA long jump champion at the University of Southern Mississippi, she had chalked up 16 traffic infractions since 2019, none of which was paid for. 16 traffic infractions. So she had 16 tickets out. She also had $20-something thousand worth of debt to her homeowners association. Her home was bordering on foreclosure. The Overlook at Hamlin, a homeowners association, sued her and an unnamed spouse in April of 2021 for non-payment of assessments on her property, which she bought for $299,000 in March of 2017. Who the hell is the spouse? An unnamed spouse. And her homeowners association sued her as well. It was her house was scheduled for foreclosure in 2022, but the auction was canceled and the case was voluntarily dismissed last July. She last competed on the world stage in 2019 at the Qatar World Championships, but has spent the last 4 years living quietly in Florida, occasionally doing some modeling work for Valentino and for ESPN. Now on social media, her grieving sister Tamara, who's 36, hinted at some mental health problems. And I'm going to repeat what the sister put up again, because it said people who pretend to be happy have some of the saddest souls, and people who do not try to convince the world that they are happy have the most genuine souls, because they are content with just being them, for them, and nobody else. And she posted this right after her sister passed. We already gave up the whole life story, how she grew up in Mississippi, but this part, her mother dropped her and her sister off at foster care when she was an infant. I believe she was 2 years old when she was dropped off to foster care by her mama. And they were later adopted by their biological grandmother. So they've had a rough start from the start. Now, in a video after she shot to stardom, she said that she had struggled her entire life, but was inspired by her family and her faith. In her words, she said, "I came from a small town called Sand Hill, Mississippi. Where I come from, we're not supposed to succeed. It's been a struggle since day one. My birth mom dropped me off in foster care when I was only 2 years old. My entire life has been a struggle. It's amazing hearing it. It's something I always dreamed of. It's humbling. I've been through so much, and I haven't let anything defeat me yet," she said. I'm a champion in that sense, not just on a track. I want to be up there with Naomi Campbell, taking over the runway, not just sports. So obviously, she had dreams of being some mega model, to be comparing herself to Naomi Campbell, right? Her uncle, who is Timothy, who shares the same last name, Bowie, whichever way you want to say it, he told this same news entity that he hadn't spoken to his niece in a couple of years, but he was incredibly proud of her achievements. And he said, to come from the situation that she did, with a mama that didn't do anything for her, she did really great. Her sister too. Her sister is a lawyer. For them too to come up and be who they are now, yes, I'm very proud of them. U.S. record holder and 3-time world champion Noah Lyles paid his tributes to her. Other great names in the sports paid their tributes to her as well. So it seems like she had been going through a lot, right? And from her own story, she was, I know a lot of people are going to say, damn, I mean, mama dropped you off. Where was your daddy? I don't know if her daddy had died or they didn't know who her daddy was. But mama dropped both her and her sister off to Child Protective Services or orphan care. And they were in the system. And then they were later adopted by their grandmother who raised them, right? And the mama didn't want to have anything to do with them throughout their whole lives. So you can imagine how damaging that could be for a young lady coming up. And plus, she talks about where she comes from, backwood country, where, you come from here, you ain't supposed to make it kind of thing. So she was humbled to be on the world stage, to see how much she had accomplished herself. And she wanted to be a world supermodel as well. She was getting good modeling work from big agencies and entities, so she was well on her way. Now, the funny thing about this is she had cut off contact with social media. Now, the average person doesn't cut contact with social media, especially if you have plans like she did. If you want to be a world-class model, more than anything, your Instagram has probably got to be popping. That's one way to get you there, right? To get you notoriety, to build you a grassroots fan base, etc. She cut off social media since 2019. So Her final post on Instagram was October of 2019, and it showed a video of her competing in a long jump at the same event with the caption, "What a journey." This is the 2019 World Championships in Qatar, where she made the semifinals in the 100 meters, but she did not start after qualifying. That's the same video that her last Instagram post shows. She says, "What a journey. Finishing 4th in the world, considering I've been away from it for 5 years, is a huge accomplishment for me. Let's just say I'm looking forward to Tokyo. To everyone chasing their dreams out there, keep the courage and determination. I know I will." Bowie didn't compete in qualifying for the 100 meters and 200 meters or the long jump in the 2020 U.S. Olympic team trials. She never showed up for them. Now, according to Runner's World, she had not competed since June 4th of last year, when she finished 5th in a 200-meter race in Florida. Her management team confirmed her death in a statement Wednesday morning on Twitter, where they said that they were devastated that they had to share this type of news, and it is true that she had passed away. We've lost a client, a friend, a sister, a daughter. She was a champion, a beacon of light. You know, they said a whole bunch of nice stuff, right? And a spokesperson for Orange County Sheriff's Office said that the deputies responded to her home to conduct a welfare check. Well, people who she's used to talking to started wondering, like, we haven't heard from her and we're very concerned. And this is the reason why they were concerned, because they had been by the house and they had seen the garage door open for months, and they had seen all the other things that neighbors were talking about. Clothes hanging over the balcony to dry, the doors and the windows left open all night, all day. So my last video where I said they broke the lock to the house, they didn't have to break the lock to the house. They actually just walked right in. Her door was open. Wow. And she was found dead inside. Whatever she was going through, man, now this story is starting to look to me like more like, I don't know. I don't know how they got to no foul play suspected. Maybe because there wasn't any blood all over the place. It did no signs of strangulation. Terrible. Terrible. What do you think really happened to her? I'm curious now more than ever to find out who the spouse is, because the paperwork says her homeowners association sued her because she owed $22,000 in homeowners association fees, and they sued her jointly with a spouse that is unnamed. Where's the spouse? Is this spouse the same person she was seen shouting at, clutching a knife? Was the spouse abusive to her? I don't know. There's so many questions still. Anyways, that's the latest follow-up. And until then, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when we get more information and give more follow-up to this. This information I got today, I like to quote my sources or tell you where I get the information from. This one today came from updated information from Daily Mail. Okay? And Daily Mail is known to be on point. I'll catch y'all on the next video. I'm out. Peace.